Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the iManifold virtual training series here. My name is Jason Ubjut. I'm a teacher in Chicago. I have a CMHE certification, which is a Certified Master HVACR Educator. That's through ESCO and HVAC Excellence. I'm also a presenter for them. I've been teaching here at the school for 14 years, and I'm proud to be a part of the ever-growing iManifold tech team. We're going to do an intro video today. It's about a 30-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute Q&A. The video will be on the iConnect. It is available on our website as well as the YouTube channel. I do encourage you to use the chat to ask questions. If there's something that we don't get to during the session here, you can go to the website at iManifold.com. There's a session called Tech Talk, and you could submit your questions there, and one of the team members will get to it. We appreciate that. I'm joined today by Mr. Nick Good. He's as good as they come. He's head of manufacturing of both the iManifold and the iConnect product line. Say hello, Nick.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. We'll try to get started here with this video and get going.
We thank everyone for joining. And what we're going to do is start with this little video. And again, this video is it's just an intro to the iConnect, and it's available on our website.
Hi, my name is Jason, and welcome back to the iManifold video series. Today we're going to talk about the iConnect. We're going to talk about how to pair all the probes to the iConnect, how to connect all the temperature sensors, and then how to map them in the app. Two quick things before we get started. One is the batteries. We want to shy away from using new and old batteries in the unit. We want to use all new batteries, and we want to pay special attention to the polarity when we put them in. Two, the inputs on the back of the iConnect. These are used in the iManifold, not the iConnect. When we get the unit, there's a foam plug in place, and we want to keep it there. All of our temperature sensors are going to come out of the probes. With that, let's get started. We're going to get started by pairing to a wireless device. If it's an Android device, the first time use requires a pairing through the Bluetooth. Turning on the Bluetooth will bring up a menu to pair devices. Choose the iConnect and then press Done. iOS operating systems don't require this step. Once we're paired, we're going to choose the menu in the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to click Connect and look for the iConnect. Once we're connected, we're going to pair up some probes. For this video, we're going to use 4 different probes. We're going to use 2 air probes and 2 pressure probes. Tap on the wireless probes and you'll see we don't have any connected. Tap on the screen to begin pairing them. Remember that each probe has to be showing the flash, flash, pause pattern in order to be paired, and we'll pair them one at a time. Press Add More to keep going, and once all 4 have been added, we can press Done. Once all the probes have been added, we can map the temperatures. All of the iManifold probes have 2 temperature inputs on the side, T1 located near the tip and T2 to the right of it. For this video, I'm going to use the temperature inputs on the side of the pressure probes. Back on the wireless probes menu, I'm going to tap on probe 1 and I'm going to map T2 to be my outdoor air. You can see the T1's already mapped to the suction line temperature. This can be switched by tapping on the gear to the right and press Swap Suction Line Temperature. It moves over to T2, and then we can map T1 to be the outdoor air. You can use it for the discharge line temperature, but I prefer to use it for the outdoor air. We can swap it back, and then we have to remap T2. I'm going to use it for the outdoor air. We're going to use probe 2 for the discharge line temperature. Again, I can swap the liquid line to T2, and then map T1 to be the discharge line temperature. Press on the gear, press Swap Liquid Line Temperature, and then tap on T2 to map it. I'm using it for the discharge line temperature. Now we're going to go ahead and do the air probes. I'm going to tap on probe 3, tap on the gear to the right, and then tap on Map. I'm going to use this one for the return air. I'm going to go ahead and tap on the arrow to bring up probe 4. Tap on the gear to the right, and I'm going to map this one to be my supply air. Back on the home screen, we can see that probe 1 is displaying suction line temperature for T1 and outdoor air for T2. We can scroll over to probe 2 and see that T1 is the liquid line temperature and T2 is the discharge line temperature. Probe 3, the air probe, is displaying return air, dry bulb, and relative humidity, and probe 4 is displaying the supply air, dry bulb, and relative humidity. Under the active temps menu, we can see all the temperatures that we've mapped out. One of the user-friendly things about this app is that we can change some of the temperature settings right from the home screen. We can't do it under the active. And now the iConnect is ready to go. Thanks for watching and keep an eye out for future videos.
All right, that was the video again. It's on our website and on our YouTube channel. It was a quick thing on the iConnect, pairing it up. And we're actually going to walk through some of that today. We're going to use some of our equipment here, and we're going to walk through actually pairing up everything for the first time and mapping some of the things out. What I'm going to do now is turn it over to Nick, and he's going to show you some of the equipment that he has set out. He has a lot of the probes and the two different systems, the Connect and the iManifold, and he's going to explain some of the temperatures and where things go.
Yep.
So with that, Nick, I'll turn it over to you.
And Laurie, if you'll stop sharing your screen, I'll show you guys a little bit just about all the hardware and our different probes.
I can see, Nick, that you've got both the iConnect and the iManifold set up there.
I do.
Pressure probes and 911s.
So here are our humidity and temperature probes. All of our probes have a T1 and T2 temperature port on the side. So here is our low pressure probe, high pressure probe, dual port manometer, and just a dual temperature repeater. All of our probes act as a repeater. They communicate to each other through the Zigbee network. So they all communicate back and forth as a mesh network. So if one of the probes fail or the batteries die or something like that, they'll never lose signal. They'll jump back to the closest route and go back to one of the main platforms. So the difference really with the iConnect and the iManifold is they're going to connect to your smart device with Bluetooth. So where the iManifold, once you have your hoses on, you're connected to your unit, that's going to have to stay with the unit. That's just going to kind of limit your travel, how far away you can really go with your tablet. With the iConnect, you can throw this on your hip with a belt clip and keep that right with you as you walk through the facility, or depending on how far you really have to walk to put your humidity and temperature probes where your ductwork is. And that'll really just help you not lose connectivity with your Bluetooth. And as soon as Jason's ready to show you that in the application itself, then I will send it back over to him.
Okay, I'm set here. What we're going to be looking at here is some of the equipment that Nick just showed us. And as I said, we're going to walk through pairing some of this up. So I'm going to bring up the app that's in my wireless device, and we're going to take it one step at a time. I'm going to turn on the iConnect here and turn on my probes, and we're going to pair everything up for the first time, similar to what we did in the video. I do have the iManifold here and the iConnect. For this, we're going to use the iConnect as it allows me to pair a bunch of the probes to get started, but we could also use the iManifold. The iManifold would look more like the two 911s and the iManifold with its hoses. For this video, we're going to do the iConnect, which would be the iConnect, the two air and humidity probes, and the high and low pressure probe. And I have the, as Nick said, we have the thermometers in T1, T2 into the probes. So I've got the unit on, and because it's the first time, we're going to go into our Bluetooth menu and turn on the Bluetooth of the wireless device that we're using. And Android devices require that on the first time use, we have to pair the unit. iOS systems don't necessarily need this. Here I have the iConnect as a paired device. And I'm ready to go. I can open up the menu here in the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to find this option, Connect to iManifold. I'm going to open this up. And again, while I'm speaking here, if there's something that comes up, if you see something that's not making sense, please put it in the chat, and I'll try to address it as we're moving through. I'm going to connect here to the iConnect. And we'll see that I'm connected and that my battery life here is at 95%. You'll see my sampling rate here is a medium. Nick, you want to give them a quick explanation of the sampling rate?
Well, on the sampling rate, that's just how often your device is going to communicate back and forth. And, depending on your battery life, it's really not a big issue. A lot of guys just like to use that on high. If you're going to try to trend for a long time, then people will throw it on low. That's really about it there.
Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Next, we're going to have to put some probes on here because we're starting from scratch. If we go to the wireless probes menu here, it's going to come up that we don't have any probes connected, and we'll walk through pairing them. Now, you'll see here, we're looking for this specific flashing pattern on our probes. It has to come flash, flash, pause. Now, when you turn your probe on for the first time, it may not be showing the flash, flash, pause pattern. To get it into that, there's a wireless button here. We're going to press and hold it, and it's going to change the flashing pattern to flash, flash, pause. I can then just push the wireless button one more time, and you'll see up on the screen that the probe has been added. Oh, I'm not in the flash, flash, pause. I'm sorry. I didn't hold it long enough. All right, we're now in the proper format here. We'll push the button. We're going to add more because I have 4 different probes to add. I'll go ahead and add the second humidity probe here, temperature and humidity probe. These are the 911s. These are what go in the duct. They also, as Nick said, have temperature inputs on the side, T1, T2, that we can plug thermometers into for additional temperatures. Go ahead, Nick.
And just to keep in mind, this is just a one-time action. You won't have to keep on repairing these probes and everything else. Once you're all connected, as soon as you get your iManifold or iConnect out of the bag, you power everything on, you connect your device to your smart device, and as soon as you power up all your probes, they'll automatically reconnect, and they'll be connected.
The only time you'll have to do this is if you change iOS systems. If you go from, say, an iPhone to a tablet that's an Android, or if you have multiple technicians that are sharing the same tools and they switch from their wireless device to somebody else's wireless device, then you may have to delete and repair the probes because the probes are going to try and stay loyal to the app that they're originally paired to. There is a video on our website as well as our YouTube channel on how to delete the probes and then repair them. All right, so I've paired all of our probes. You can see here we have probe 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 are the 911. They're the temperature and humidity probes. 3 and 4 are pressure probes. Now, these are the probes that I'm going to use for our temperatures. I'm going to plug the thermometers into the side of these probes. We're going to take a minute to show how to map all these things, how to designate what temperatures are what, but I wanted to stop for a second and encourage anyone that's out there that's watching to submit some comments, questions, things like that while we're going through this process. Hey, I see you're doing this, or hey, I missed that. Could you show this? Use the chat feature to let us know that you'd like to know more about this or that as we're going through. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. We're going to get started on the 2 probes here, and what I'm going to show you is how to map them for supply or return air. We're going to open up probe 1. I think when we saw this in the video, but we're going to see it in a little slow-mo here. You can see here on the sprocket, this little gear that I'm going to bring up is how to map it. And we're going to click on map. And I have a choice. I can use it for return air, supply air, or outdoor air. For this video, I'll switch it up. I'll use it for the supply air. And you'll see that it switches over to the supply air. Now I'm going to go ahead to probe 2 and map probe 2 for the return air. Again, I'll click on, I'm on 3 there, aren't I? Yes, I need to get on 2. Click on the gear, which is the menu. I'm going to map it. I'm going to go ahead and map this one for the return air. So we have probe 1 and probe 2 mapped as supply air and return air. Now, a real quick thing I'm going to point out is if you look at these probes, which I'm showing you here on the little camera, they're identical. It's hard to remember which one I had as probe 1 and which one I had as probe 2. So one of the quick things I'll bring up if you pull this little menu up is if you hit wink, it will actually make the probe start flashing which one I just hit the wink on. It's this one here. It goes into a very rapid flash pattern like so. So if you forget which probe is which, you can use that little wink function to figure out which probe you're dealing with. It's a really neat function. So I'm going to move down to my pressure probes here. This is probe 3, the high pressure probe. We'll see that T1 is already set up to be the liquid line temperature. And then I have T2 set up here as the discharge line. I can take and map this. I can make it the suction line temperature, outdoor temperature, supply or return air. I like to use on the high side the secondary input for my discharge line, but you can use it for whatever you want. You can switch back and forth. One of the things that you can do if you wanted to switch, if you had them hooked up and realized, oh, I put T1 on the discharge line, you can actually switch it going into here. And I can swap the liquid line temperature. And it's going to move it over to T2. And then from here, I can go back to the discharge line. Again, these are dependent on how you have the system hooked up. It's customizable in the field, things like that. On my low side, I prefer to use it for the outdoor air. We do have this little outdoor air temperature sensor. They come in different lengths. Nick, what were the lengths on these again?
I'm sorry, Jason. I was typing for the chat.
No worries. The outdoor temperature thermistor, they come in 2 lengths.
Oh yeah. So one is a 4-inch and one is 12 feet long.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and switch this back. I'm going to use the T1 for my liquid line and T2 for the discharge line. And when we get to the home screen, I'll show you there's some things you can do because the app is pretty user-friendly. There's a lot of things you can touch on, a lot of menus that you can use to switch around. So when I go back to the home screen here, I'll show you. Here we have the active temps. Now here we have the suction line temperature, the liquid line temperature, the discharge line temperature, and the outdoor air. Some of these can be remapped right from the screen by touching them, but not from this menu here, not from the active temps menu. We can go through this little menu here on the bottom. Remember, this is the iConnect, so we're not going to have any wired temps. If this was the iManifold, as you can see here on the little camera, there are inputs on the back. That's where the thermometers would go for the iConnect. That's what these are, the wired temps. As we move through, here's the air side, what we mapped earlier, the return air, wet bulb, dry bulb, the supply air, dry bulb, wet bulb. These are measurements we'll pick up when we connect to the unit. All right, here's probe 1 that we had for supply air. This is going to be probe 2 that we had for the return air. This is going to be probe 3, our liquid line temperature. Now here I can tap on discharge line temperature and remap it right here from the home screen. I'm going to leave it as the discharge. If you wanted to remap this liquid line temperature itself, you'd have to go back to the probe screen to do it. Now you'll see that they're labeled probe 1, probe 2, probe 3. The only thing that makes them 1, 2, and 3 are the order in which I paired them. So if I pair them in a different order next time, a different probe will end up being probe 1 or probe 2 or probe 3. So that's not very specific. It's not a unique ID to that particular probe. If we move over here to probe 4, which is my low pressure, again, I can go ahead right and tap on this. If I want to change it to be another discharge line temperature or another liquid line temperature, I can do that as well. I prefer to leave it here on the outdoor air. And we're back to the active temps menu. At this point, I'd like to, again, throw it out there for questions. Nick, has anything come up that we need to address on the feed here?
Just right now, just one questioning whether there was a specific high side pressure probe and low side pressure probe. And there are, one is signified with the red tip and one has the blue tip. And those come with the T's and the 6-inch hoses. So you are ready to go hook up to a system. If you had to add refrigerant or recover refrigerant, you can do it right through those T's. The then that just kind of eliminates the need for the manifold itself. That's what a lot of guys are really liking about it. But I think that was the only question I've seen so far.
All right. Well, I mean, we can take a little, if we have some time, we can explore a little bit inside of the app here. This is where I found, if you go to the upper right corner, where we found the wireless probes, and we can do the configuration from here. If you were looking for that, here's the humidity, high and low pressure probes. We can go back here. Again, I'm just taking you through some of the settings here. We can see the battery life on the unit on my iConnect here is at 95%. Again, the wireless probes, if I bring them up, you'll see the battery life on those as well. That's a neat feature. One of the things that I've noticed in the field, we shouldn't use the rechargeable batteries. Rechargeable batteries tend to run at very low voltages, and they may feed false information into that battery meter life. So the rechargeables may give you an incorrect reading there. If we look at the menu here in the upper left-hand corner, there's a lot of different options here. There'll be another session on mapping and system performance and reporting as well. But one of the quick things, if we want to get target superheats and subcoolings and things like that, we're going to have to profile the unit. Basically, we have to tell the app what type of unit it is we're going to connect to. There are some quick profiles set up in here for air conditioning, things like that. We can make our own profile, or we can choose one of the existing. If I wanted to start a new system, I can choose what type of refrigerant it is. There are a lot of different refrigerants in here, and we're constantly updating this database for the refrigerants. For this example, we can choose 410. We have air conditioning, heat pump, refrigeration. Let's say we're in a nice warm state, and pretend we're not in Chicago where it's cold and raining. Let's say we're in a warm state, so we're working on a heat pump here. So it is in cooling mode. I could also choose heating mode. Let's say we have a standard TXV. We can benchmark this data. We'll discuss that in a future video. That's to note where the system is. Let's say that we have a standard efficiency, air conditioning efficiency. Actually, let's call it a 13 SEER, because that's kind of, if you're down south, you got to have a 14 SEER there. We have a standard evaporator. It'll give us target superheat and subcooling here. Sorry if I'm scrolling fast. And then it's going to ask us for the tonnage. Here we input a number. Let's say we're working on a 2.5 ton unit. Create the profile. We can name it whatever we want to name it. And then always click submit. The submit is your best friend in this app. Anytime you make changes in any of the different menus, remember to go on and click submit. I'd like to create this. Yes. We can call this virtual for the virtual training session that we're working on here. And now you'll see it's giving me target superheat, subcooling, airflow, things like that. If we go through the menus, it'll say, here's your target superheat, here's your target subcooling, here's your target high pressure, low pressure. My target subcooling for this is 10, superheat 12, the suction pressure 117, the head pressure 286. We have an airflow. We can see here, it gives you a little display in the center, sort of if you're close to or out of range. Obviously, I'm not connected to anything, so it's going to show that I am way off. And if we click into here, it gives us some of the troubleshooting options. It'll tell me, check this. Okay, these are the different issues. And if you, for example, if I click on subcooling, it's going to tell me some of the things that cause low subcooling. I can click on suction pressure, head pressure, superheat, subcooling, and it will tell me different things that may be causing that in my system. Nick, do we have any questions? We got a few minutes left here.
I was just going to shout out to everybody, if they understand the app is free. You can go right to the Play Store or the App Store and download the app. You can mess around with it even yourself and go through everything that we've even done here, or what Jason just covered as far as using your quick profiles and profiling the system. You can check out the reporting and stuff like that, different features of the app itself.
One of the things that I have discovered quite on accident while letting the students use the tools is that if you actually tap on the pressure, you can switch the high pressure over to the low pressure, or the low pressure over to the high pressure when you're using the iManifold. So if they're accidentally connected to the wrong side, and I say accidentally because we're all technicians and we would never do that. My students tend to do it. You're actually able to switch low side, high side back to low side. Just about everything, if you touch on it, will bring up some kind of menu and allow you to do something inside of the app. It is very user friendly. Here we can input we'll get the actual operating BTUs, the tons that we're operating at, system performance, temperature split. And there is a section where we can input voltage up in the menu here, and if we input the amperage, voltage, things like that of the condensing unit or the air handler and or furnace, the blower unit, it will actually calculate the EER. So this is one of the neat features that a lot of the different tools out there don't do. They calculate capacity and EER right here in the app. And then moving back here, we're back to the probes. Now we can also change this from dry bulb and relative humidity. We can change relative humidity over to wet bulb if we'd like to. Again, that's going to be up in the these menus here. I believe Eric is going to be doing a session on how to navigate this app more thoroughly, take you through menu by menu and tell you exactly how to make changes inside of the app. Today, we're just trying to get you acquainted with it, show you how to really get it out of the box, get it set up, and get you up and running. Answer any questions that you may have, and then direct you to the Tech Talk on our website, iManifold.com, to submit any lengthy questions that we may not have time, or suggestions that you may have for the product or for the platform, things like that. There will also be another session on, if you click here, we do have cloud services with reporting and TechConnect and things like that. We'll also do a session on that. Yes, sir.
Jason, you want to just cover the 911M probe placement?
Yes. All right. If we look at this here probe, I'm going to try and put it up to the camera. If you click on the little, my little video there, I'll become bigger. But if you look at the probe, I don't recommend doing this, but if you take the tip of this off, you'll notice that the sensor is on the back side, that little black box. It's not on the front side, it's on the back. So what you need to do is make sure that the airstream is blowing on the back side of this probe. We want to be far enough away from the coil, because remember, at the evaporator, we're at 100% relative humidity. We need to get far enough away from that evaporator for the air to re-stratificate. So maybe the first supply vent, or if you're going to go into the trunk line, because there are magnets here to hold it in place into the duct, far enough away to not be at that high humidity, and make sure that the air is directed at the back of the probe. So you can put the supply and return at the closest vents right at the grill, again, blowing at the back of the probe. If you do put them in the duct, because they will work in the duct, there are magnets, make sure you're far enough away from the unit to pick up any of that, because there is really high humidity at the coil, and it can distort some of the readings, some of the troubleshooting factors of the probes. Do we have any other questions or comments? There are little magnets here you can see, and one of the things that Nick has there is the repeater, which can, again, strengthen the network, give you added range to the different probes that we have here. We do also have the dual input manometer, which can populate the static pressure into the app to help calculate airflow and static pressure. There's a lot of different options for things that can be added to this setup that I have here. It's not limited to just what we have here. And the more that we can add to it, and the more information that we can generate in the app, the more accurate our data will be. Nick, we have any other questions, comments?
No. So, I mean, we do have a little bit of time left. I'm not sure if we want to go,
I can turn on the iManifold and pair some probes to the iManifold if we have time for that. How much time we have?
Well, we got about 10 minutes left. If anybody else wants to, so I just see another question here. The size hole for the 911M, the humidity and temperature probe?
It looks to be about a 3/4 inch knockout, maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch with a coring bit. Once you have the hole in the duct, you'll slide this in, and there are magnets on the tip that will actually hold it in place onto the side of the duct if you put it in duct.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, and the hole is 11/16. And the best place to put the repeater is going to be where you think that you're going to be losing your signal, whether or not it would be best in a windowsill to if you're losing signal from inside to outside. If you're working inside of a freezer with thick wall cabinet, right outside the door of that. Anything that, just the best spot that would be the straight line signal to keep that connection. And
11/16. I was pretty close. I said 3/4. I was a 16th off. That's not too bad. Also, we'd like to hear from you on future topics that you'd like to see sessions like this done on, specifics in the app or with the tools or different applications. If there's a specific topic that you'd like to see at a future session, either put it in the chat comments here or go to the website iManifold.com and throw it onto the Tech Talk. I can, if we want to take a look at the iManifold, just for the iManifold users in the crowd, I can disconnect from my iConnect, and I can connect to the iManifold if we have a couple minutes here. This is the first time I'm going to pair it to this particular unit, so we'll have to walk through the Bluetooth pairing again, just like we again, first time use on an Android. Once you've got it set up on the Android, after that, you don't have to do it again. So I'm going to turn on this new iManifold here that I'm going to, this is the first time I'm pairing it to this actual device. Let's see if I can do that. Actually, it's not going to allow me today, so we're going to reconnect to the iConnect. And we are back. Here's the iManifold. I'm going to reconnect to the iConnect just to bring back all the information. And all of my targets are back. Everything's back. Again, it is a really user-friendly app. There's a lot of things that it'll show you on here. It is compatible with some of the other tools that are out there, vacuum gauges and meters and such. We're always working with other manufacturers to try and up our game and update the app with new refrigerants, new capabilities, things like that. If we come down here, we can see some of the different tools, settings. Again, Eric will have a session on this to really navigate this. I'm not doing it justice because it can really do a lot. It is a very powerful app, and if you do take the time to go through it and get to know it, it can do a lot for you. There's a lot in the reporting features. You can notice my gauges are at 0 here. I'm not connected to a system. There's a lot of things in here in the profiling and the different systems that we can work with. A lot of the different measurements. We can customize things, input things. This is where if you have the manometer that you see here on Nick's little screen there, if you have the manometer that pairs up with the system, it will actually populate some of the data into this app. And then the voltage here we can add as well. And that'll help calculate the EER.
Yeah, and with the iManifold, you can also use those pressure probes to have a multi-circuit system. And you can use multiple pressure probes even with the iConnect to on a multi-circuit system as well.
Yeah, we can map or pair these probes, the low and high, and set it to the Connect. We can pair it to here, the iManifold, and work at it. It'll show 2 low pressures, 2 high pressures, and we can work on a multi-circuit system. The batteries go inside the back here. There are 6 AA batteries that come with the kit, and we do want to pay attention, as I mentioned in the video, to the polarity of these batteries and make sure that we have them in the right way. We want to make sure that we're not using older batteries and newer batteries, because when they're in parallel like that, the old ones try to get charged by the new ones and it doesn't function quite so well. So we want to try and make sure we use all of the same strength, preferably newer batteries. They do last quite a bit, and it does power down if you leave it alone for a little while. The same thing with the iConnect on the batteries.
Might mention something because there's somebody asking.
Do we have any questions coming up here?
Well, I do see. If you open up that configuration, you can select how long the unit would shut down, whether or not it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, or never. Um,
Auto
Yep.
shutdown right here.
right, right.
For those of you working in freezers, obviously freezers like to eat batteries. The lithium ion do perform best in the freezers. Just a heads up on that. Here's all of the latest. You can get the downloads, things like that.
And I do see, as far as a plug offering for the hole drilled for the humidity and temperature probes, we don't offer one, but a lot of guys will just get their own plugs or just use the actual ductwork tape.
You can also, again, you don't have to necessarily be in the duct. You can do it at the vents as long as you're at the closest vent, the first branch takeoff from the system. A lot of houses have a 1 or 2 central returns. You can get in front of that central return with the return probe, and the closest supply to the trunk line, the first one that comes off for the supply air. I'll show you quickly in here if we got some time. If we want to change over, you saw we had the supply air, dry bulb, and wet bulb, things like that. I can kind of change that. Here you see that I was showing relative humidity and dry bulb. I can switch this over instead of showing the humidity to show the wet bulb in the air for the probes instead of the dry bulb. Now you see I've changed it over. It's not going to stay unless, again, we go back like I told you and hit the submit button. Submit is your friend. You hit the submit button, it will change it over from the dry bulb and relative humidity to the wet bulb. And I'll pull it over here. See if we can scroll over and change it. We're looking for the 911 probes. We are now showing wet bulb and wet bulb instead of relative humidity and relative humidity. Anytime you're going to make a change in the app, please make sure you hit submit so it stores it in there. Do we have any other questions? We're
No, I think that we are all set there.
There were some questions on the reporting and the printing and things like that. There will be a session. I want to say that it's going to be with one of our team members, tech team members, Eric. He'll cover the reporting feature. If you do have questions, please again go to the Tech Talk on iManifold.com and submit them if they're lengthy questions or we run out of time here. How do we update the software? That's a good question. Nick, you want to cover that?
Yeah, and Eric did cover that in that previous post, and that's really just the firmware. And when we do a firmware update, it'll be over the air. Once you connect that to your smart device, it'll pop right up in the middle of the screen if you want to, or that it'll inform you that there's a firmware update, and then that'll take you into that configuration tab, and it will show you. You want to just bring up the configuration tab, and it will show us
For
what
sure.
firmware is installed right now.
Here we go. Here's the information.
And right there, the firmware 1.2.0.0, and there will be a bar across that screen that just says update now. And as long as you're still connected with your Apple device or your Android device, it'll all happen right over there and get you back up and going. It'll still work without the firmware, but we do recommend that whenever we do update the firmware, that you guys should all update it as well.
We'll continuously add refrigerants and work on the app to make it run smoother and things like that. So it's to your benefit if it asks you to update it to update it. And here was that area where we could again change the shutdown if you don't want it to or you do want it to. Back on the screen again, if I pull up system performance, this is going to show me the data from the unit that's currently operating. Again, I'm really not connected to a system, so some of this stuff is just based on the air that's in the room I'm sitting in right now. But we can get a lot of the different things off of here. And if you add to it, if you add the voltage readings, amperage readings, and that, and you add the static pressure readings, it makes a lot of this more accurate and instead of estimated, more calculated. And again, if we have time, I'll pull up that menu right here where we can input the voltage. If you have your voltmeter, you can check the voltage at the air handler or furnace and at the condensing unit. Right here, we have options to put in the configuration. Is it a split system, single phase voltage? Again, this is for the condensing unit. The voltage L1, L2, the current L1, L2, the power factor. We did speak with a few of the power company. They said that 0.95 is a pretty good number to use for the power factor. If power factor is a concern, you can contact the local utility for information on if it varies from the 0.95 to 1.0, something like that. We're going to go down here to the air handler furnace. Again, is it a single phase or a three-phase, 120? What type of blower motor is it? Is it a PSC or a variable speed? We can input the voltage. We can input the, again, the current, the power factor. And when we put it all in there, it's going to help us calculate the EER of the unit. It'll be a lot more accurate. All right. At this time, we're going to conclude the session here. And I want to say thank you to everyone that was in attendance here. I am Jason, a member of the tech team. I'd like to say thank you and goodbye. I'll turn it over to Nick so that he can say goodbye.
Yep, again, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you learned something today. We'll be doing these once a week. Hopefully you'll be able to get on some more if you want to. And again, we'll try to get these posted online. Any other questions, get right on that Tech Talk and post them there, and we'll try to answer them as quick as we can. And thanks for joining.